I'm back, and the Wings have a new opportunity post All-Star break. And so, not Ben, Bobby and I are going to talk much about it after this quick intro here on the DLLS Wings podcast. Back to the DLLS Wings podcast after my major verbal error to start the show. Bobby, how the heck are
Mm-mm-mm.
you on this fine Thursday afternoon? I know you can kill me if you want. I'll lay in the road. I mean, it's my bad. It's called a little rust. I've been out in a little bit, so I am sorry, but it was an accident. And
No, to
it was
peel
a
back the curtain, we were having a little pre-show chat with GM Ben just seconds before hitting play. So I forgive you. And of all the people though to mix me up with, that guy, mm-mm-mm.
it's just
Mm-mm-mm.
the BBs. I got a little too excited. But before we can even get started, Classic Snake Lover is a ridiculous super chat. Guess who's back? Back again. And that would be the two of us, me and Bobby Corella. So, welcome back to the DLS Wings podcast. If you have been watching the pod, thanks for joining us again 3 weeks later. Shout out to you for hanging out with us while we went on a little bit of a hiatus. I would say we took a little all-star break of our own. God mandated all-star break of the DLS Wings podcast. Our bad, but we will not be doing that again. So, just wanted to be upfront about that. But you guys can pop over to the PHNX Mercury podcast if you're looking for any sort of explanation as to why. There is a good one over yonder there, but I want to start really quick because obviously it was All-Star break over the weekend. We had a little bit of a quick conversation before the show started about stud buds, but I want to start with stud buds because I feel like stud buds has kind of changed the game for the WNBA athletes. Players all over the league have been talking about them, and coaches all over the league have been talking about them. The eyes that they've been able to bring to the league. I know that a lot of folks aren't going to be too excited about the name I'm about to say out loud, but Mr. Dave Portnoy has even entered the stud bud chat. Um, it's a lot going on with the Minnesota Lynx and the Stud Buds right now, and it's been enjoyable as an outsider to watch. Honestly, not our team, but I think it's been great for the league and great for player personalities to be able to show, and like it's a peek behind the curtain for us too, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you hit the nail on the head. That's what separates what Court and T did over the weekend, or really like even longer than a weekend. It was a 72-hour stream. Like, I don't know how long a weekend lasts, but they did one better than that. Um, it was just unbelievable. Like, it's really cool being a fan of whether it's players or of a team, and you get to like peek your head behind the curtain, right? It's always great whenever a player tells a sick joke during an interview, or you catch a video from practice where they're hitting a trick shot, or like any of these things that are either really cool or really funny or really impressive, or whenever you find out things about people that make them more relatable. You find out what their favorite cereal is or what they're watching on TV lately. Like, we as fans cling to that stuff, and like we're searching endlessly for this information about our faves, right? But like Court and T said, what if we just do that for 72 hours straight, and you're not finding out about it on Twitter, you're finding out about it from us. Like, you get to watch us go hang out. And not only is it the two of them, and the two of them could, I mean, they do have their own show and it's awesome. They could have done 72 hours just as a duo and it would have been great, but you're seeing Paige multiple times throughout the weekend, maybe a little hammered, having a great time, singing Keisha Cole anthems. You're fudding around and finding out. You're seeing Lisa Leslie. Like, you're hanging with Dejanay. You're hanging with players from other teams, players from all over the country that were there, obviously, for All-Star Weekend. And you're seeing them talk to fans. You're seeing NBA players show up and say how much fun they're having. Like, it was so much bigger than just one player or one team, bigger than one league. Like, it was really cool for me as a fan of the WNBA, as a fan of sports in general, to just see players be this genuine, this authentic, this compelling, this fun, and just like having a good time without worrying about being cringe. I feel like that's another thing too. Like every athlete and every person, really. Like I was thinking about, saw this ad for this guy that's launching these glasses that you can. He says you can stream in stealth all day, and obviously that has a lot of like moral and ethical undertones that I disagree with completely. But everyone is so worried about constantly being called cringe or being caught on camera, like acting a certain type of way. Not even anything bad, just corny. You know, everyone is afraid of that all the time. And to see all of these athletes and all of these like high profile figures just throw all of that fear by the wayside and just have fun for a whole weekend, like I thought it was incredible.
Well, and then to your point, not all of the athletes, and then also Kathy Engelbert, Kathy Engelbert has caught a lot of smoke from me over the last year and a half, and I have to give her this. She was having a blast with players that probably aren't huge fans of her right now, which I can't imagine is an easy thing to do. Shout out to AZ Fudd for throwing the absolute best party of the All-Star
Oh
break.
my god, it looked like
You
a
know,
blast.
I'm jealous. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm really jealous of everybody that was in attendance for that party. I asked my Mercury co-host what grade he would give it, and he said that there was no media parking and you had to pay for food as media. And so that does dock me a little bit. Does dock my score of the entirety of the weekend. Parking is a huge thing for me, okay? If I can't park my car, I'm not going. I'm just not going. So yeah, that I can't imagine if I were there. But it sounded like it was a walkable town, and it sounded like it was a good time. All the athletes had fun, and I feel like when the athletes are having fun, that's when the product on the floor is the best. And I mean, we saw that in moments at the All Star game itself, with like when Kelsey Plum is pulling on Asia Wilson while she's running down the court. Like these fun moments are like made by the moments leading up to the All-Star game. So if they can have fun in practice and they can have fun at all WNBA Live, which by the way, I'm going to get to my little ramble about WNBA Live in just a second. But if you can have fun in all these moments leading up to the All-Star game, it just makes the All-Star game like 10 times more what it would have been before.
And it makes it fun to be a fan afterward too. Like, you know, I personally, I know who Court and T are. I know I'm familiar with stud buds and everything, but like I went into the weekend being like, I can't wait to see every little thing that Paige does all weekend. And I exited the weekend being like, I can't wait to see what Court and T are doing tomorrow. You know, like I'm
Yeah.
now a fan of way more players than I was going into the weekend. And I know that's got to be the case for anyone else that tuned into that stream because you know, not only again are they on it and they're really entertaining and funny and everything, but like every other player is so comfortable just being themselves whenever they're on camera that like yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of like 50 players now. I'm not just a fan of Paige. I'm not just a fan of the Wings. Like I'm a fan of the whole league now. After seeing that, and again, I mean, I'm sure it's that way with so many other people too, and that's what made it. I thought so. It was just awesome. It was awesome. I need more stud buds all the time.
Dig the hook in, man. We got him, folks. Bobby is converted to a full-time WNBA stan. I love to see it, man.
Yeah.
And Natisha and Courtney have already been some of the most fun players to watch in the WNBA over the last couple seasons. But then this whole new thing is a whole new level. And then Cheryl Miller, I'm sorry, not Cheryl Miller, Cheryl Reeves talking about it in a press conference after the game and just talking about how players are allowed to be themselves more so now than ever. And again, it feeds the product on the court. And we're going to get into the CBA negotiations in a second, but all of that plays into this as well. And so when players are allowed to have fun and players are getting paid well and players are being treated well, the product on the floor is just going to be that much more fun for us as fans to consume. So it was a fantastic success of a weekend for the WNBA fans as a whole. I think there was a lot of, for good reason, concern about, All Star in Indiana, which, eh, again, good reason, but at the same time, like, they really showed out. The city showed out. I do got to talk about WNBA Live real quick. Last year, I went to WNBA Live. It was probably one of my favorite parts of the entirety of All Star Weekend. You get to meet athletes. I participated in a 3-point challenge where I absolutely got smoked by my girl Tia Reed. Yeah, y'all don't want to see the video. I'm gonna pretend I
Mm-mm.
actually didn't even say that out loud because then you guys might go searching for that bad boy, and I don't need that. But no, I mean, you get so much free product from brands. You get to go shop around with Round 21, Playa Society, Nike. I believe even like Zillow had like a pop up there this weekend. Just the most random, brand you could think of are all, they're showing out for the WNBA. And historically, this has been a free event that kind of drives, community engagement separate from the game. And I think it's been successful in the past at getting people that maybe couldn't get tickets. And I mean, let's be blunt about it for a second. The tickets for this year's All Star were probably pretty egregiously expensive in comparison to prior years when it's hosted in Caitlin Clark City, after all, and she was expected to play captain of a team, for crying out loud. So I would imagine that the price of the seats were pretty expensive, and then on top of it, now you have to pay $150 to take your family of five to WNBA Live. It kind of does the opposite of the community engagement piece that you were trying to do in the first place with WNBA Live. So I appreciate the sentiment with the event itself, but I do think that the, previous years of it being free have been successful and boded well for the league and what it was attempting to do with the communities that it was engaging with during All-Star weekend. And it is frustrating to watch it kind of go backwards. And I totally understand before the comments come, before they come, if you want to make money, you have to spend money. And if you want to make money, you have to charge, admission fees to certain events. But I think there is a way to kind of negate that, in that, the league is selling an absolute ridiculous amount of merchandise over the weekend. Not Alyssa Thomas jerseys, that's a little sidebar, but they were selling everything else under the sun over the weekend. So I think there is more money that they're leaving on the table. Alyssa Thomas jerseys, I'm looking at you, but nonetheless, we'll move on from that. WNBA Live is an important event for the community engagement, and I think it just needs to be brought back to where it was kind of in the first place. It's very, very, very important. So I think it's a great event that the WNBA puts on. They usually have live musical guests. Fun fact, one of the first places I ever met Paige Beckers was at WNBA Live. And so
Oh,
I would have
nice.
never had the chance to do that if I wasn't at WNBA Live. So it's a really cool event. If you haven't gotten a chance to go to All-Star event, I would imagine that, hopefully one of these days it comes to Dallas. I can't imagine that they're going to keep it from Paige Beckers too long. I cannot wait for the day we finally, and I do mean finally, get Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark on the All-Star game. I think it's inevitable. What's that Mr. Marvel, the Avengers do? Like they snap their finger. It's inevitable. It's coming for you. So when that day comes, I think Dallas is well set up for a fantastic All-Star weekend. But yeah, I just had to say that about WNBA Live. It's a fantastic event, and people deserve to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm trying to remember back. The NBA had their All Star game here in 2010, I think, and they had this big thing set up at the convention center. And I want to say it was free, or maybe there was some RSVP thing. I don't know. But I went to this thing for free, and they just had a bunch of jerseys on display, and I think there were people signing autographs that you could pay for if you wanted to meet former legends or whatever. But like just getting there was free. Catching like the All Star fever was free. Being around the other fans was free. And I mean, you did kind of allude to the dark underbelly of business, is like you gotta make money somehow. And I understand the tickets were expensive because of Caitlin being expected to play, and then obviously when news broke that she wasn't going to play, the tickets became a little cheaper. But hey, listen, if the upshot is the WNBA made a lot of money and that's going to make negotiations hopefully a little smoother, then that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. But also, I want as many kids, I want as many young folks that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to go, to be able to go as possible. And trying to find that balance is just it's really tough once you start introducing dollars and cents into it,
And to your point, I want to talk. We're going to start talking about CBA renegotiations, and I want to start with the players debuting the pay us what you owe us shirts. And so it does become really difficult to pay them what they're owed if you're not charging for events like WNBA Live. And you're trying to make money in, kind of quick ways, because as you guys know, like the WNBA has never turned a profit. Not to say that in a like slight way, because at the same time, like it took the NBA 30 years to turn its profit. This league is 28 years old. Like I'm not scared by the fact that Netflix operates at a $400 million loss every single year. So if you want to be in our comments talking about how, oh, well, the WNBA players don't deserve to get paid money because they turn a loss. Okay, so did the engineers at Reddit also not deserve to get paid money because they turn no profit, have never turned a profit, and expect to lose money for the rest of their existence? So, um, but I use that website every single day, and without those engineers, I don't think I would be able to be using their website. So, without the players, you're not going to be able to watch the product that's on the floor. I do believe I'm going to be honest, based off of the context of a lot of the player comments over the weekend, I do expect a lockout at some point in the off season. I think it's again going back to Thanos. Kind of feels inevitable at this point. It feels like the league and the players are not going to come to a agreement in a timely manner enough to avoid the lockout. I don't think that the lockout will be detrimental. It's a terrible sounding word where it's like, oh my gosh, we're never going to see the WNBA again. I don't think that's the reality of it, but I do think that the negotiations are going to take a lot longer than Kathy Engelbert, maybe the players themselves, and all of us as fans and media were ever expecting to in the first place.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Labor negotiations are always really tough, and you know about regarding the public sentiment of it. We have a very long history in this country of kind of poo-pooing labor movements and the workforce rising up and trying to get a little bigger piece of the pie. And so I think there's some of that playing out. But yeah, I mean, as far as profits and stuff goes, I worked in the NBA before coming to DLLS. I worked in the NBA for almost 10 years. I was with the Mavs. And, this was before, most of my time at the Mavs was before the Wings were in Dallas, back when they were in Detroit and then Tulsa. But even once they came to Dallas, unlike many other WNBA teams that share a city with an NBA team, the Mavs don't own the Wings, or the ownership group doesn't also own the Wings, whereas many other WNBA teams are owned by the same owner that owns the men's NBA team. And very famously, there's a lot of tax benefits to be had if you just if you don't turn a profit. So before anyone pulls out their imaginary MBA and is like, well, I actually know how to diagnose profits and revenue sharing from a distance about a league that I'm biased against, just tap the brakes, because no one really knows what's going on. But, as far as them wearing the shirts to pay us what you owe us, I mean, I'll put it this way. Paige Beckers makes what, 80 grand this year? 80
I think it's
grand
78. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and now, the season is only 44 games long, so she's going to only be employed by the Wings or doing Wing stuff for 1/3 of the year. And I also am very sensitive to the fact that a lot of people that work very hard don't make that much money. And so, they're not going to necessarily sympathize with someone that's very, rich and celebrity wanting more money. But what I just hope people understand that this new TV deal that's kicking in for the WNBA, you're talking about the merchandise, that stuff is going crazy. Local TV deals are getting fired up. Cities are starting to pump money into the teams, into building new facilities, integrating them within the city, having mixed use stuff around there, really making these teams a cornerstone of their communities. All of that comes not only with clout, but also with money. The new TV deal is massive. It is a huge, huge revenue boost for the league. And that stuff is going to be divided among the league. And so there's no number fudging you can do to turn a loss. These teams are inevitably going to turn a profit. And the players deserve a lot of that. I mean, I'm sure by now, it's been a few days, so everyone has probably seen the players right now get 9% of the basketball revenue. In the men's NBA, it's about 50. In most other leagues, it's at least 40 to 45, if not more. And so that's a pretty big gap. Whenever you start talking about now teams going from averaging whatever it is, about a 30 million loss, to, with the new TV deal and extra ticket sales and all that stuff, getting $100 million profit, that's a huge, massive gap. So 9% suddenly looks a whole lot smaller whenever the pie is this much bigger, and so I'm not saying that WNBA players, I don't think anyone is making the case that WNBA players, and I don't even think the players think that they deserve 90% of the revenue or anything, but certainly more than 9. That's insane. Without Caitlin Clark, without Angel Reese, who probably has the highest clout score of any athlete in Chicago right now, by the way, without those two, without Paige, without everything that the Liberty are doing, like their whole roster is just a bunch of superstars. Like the TV deal wouldn't be coming in. So yeah, any extra revenue the league gets, the players absolutely deserve a huge chunk of.
I would like Kathy to start the investigation of the New York Liberty tomorrow at the absolute latest. The signing of Emma Meeseman is
Dude, what's going
absolutely
on?
egregious.
What is
Like
going
the Phoenix
on?
Mercury have been hunting that woman for 2 years, and then they just come in and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's European Nations Day in New York City." I'm like, "Get this off of my timeline. You disgust me."
How do they have
But
the
yeah,
money? How do they have the
I
money for that?
genuinely do not understand. And the embarrassment of riches here in Phoenix, Dawn Bonner now signing here, people have the same sentiment about them. So I guess I can't say too much. But oh my gosh, New York, can you please stop? You already have John Paul Jones, Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu. Please stop. For the love of God. I'm trying to have a chance for a parade at some point within my lifetime. I'm
It ain't gonna
26 years old, and
happen.
at this, I know. Bobby, I know.
And like, I mean, Phoebish for them is what they're like 10th best player. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
it's ridiculous.
it's like nah, it's not
It's
fair.
absolute.
And
Yeah, and
oh
then they
yeah,
have Marie
the Wings get to play
Johannes.
them 3 times in the next 2 weeks, by the way. So that's gonna be really fun.
I feel so terrible for the Wings right now. And we're going to get into the gauntlet of a schedule that they have post All-Star. And obviously they started out hot versus the Storm, but I feel like when you're a young team and they kind of have nothing to lose right now, They entered that game 7 and 16, or I'm sorry, 6 and 17. And so, they aren't exactly looking at a playoff spot at this current moment in time. They're probably not looking toward the future at all. They're really looking game by game and trying to win. So I was impressed, and I guess we should probably at some point get to this victory that the Wings pulled out versus the Storm on their home court, mind you, 87-63. It was kind of a blowout to start the second half of the Wings season, which they held the Wings to 23% shooting in the second half, which in itself has been almost the exact opposite of everything that we've seen from the Wings so far. They've been borderline egregious on the defensive end. So to watch them come out with a kind of a statement win like this kind of sets my standards back up where they were when we first started this podcast in the first place. The second half of the season, you have a whole fresh opportunity where you don't have to think about all the games that you just suffered through in the first half. Most of the Wings players got the weekend off, with the exception of a very few of them who were at All-Star weekend, and the rest of them were at home practicing with CK. And obviously, it worked out well for them in this case. So, they've made a lot of lineup changes. Louisa Gazel, I'm trying to remember actually, in the last pod, was Melissa Smith still on the team? I actually think she was.
Yes, it was like
Uh,
right before they made the trade. Yeah, so yeah, and I mean, I think Lee had maybe just made her debut, but now it's like it's the Lee and Louisa show now.
Yeah, no, and I mean, Lee and Louisa are staples of the team. And when we talk about I think right now it feels like the Wings have a big four in Lee, Louisa, Arike, and Paige. And obviously, I don't think this big four is here to stay. If you've heard us talk about the CBA negotiations and how free agency is going to work in this offseason, you can bet your bottom dollar that if all four of those players, if two of those players are still on this team in the 2026 season, I owe one of you $20 because that will color me shocked at that point. But no, I mean, they've built a good team and it looks a lot better than it did a week and a half ago.
Yeah, so first off, Lee better be one of those two because she is precious and also very good. She is really, really good. And it's interesting because okay, so like rewind all the way. I will eventually arrive to the Storm game, I promise. But rewind all the way back to the start of the season. They had Alyssa Smith starting. Sometimes it was Maisha, sometimes it was Tierra. They were going back and forth for a little bit, but like the Wings were pretty big. They have this backcourt, Paige and Enrique, and and you're playing Dijonay at the 3, and so like okay, you're kind of maybe small in the backcourt, but you got a jumbo front line. Well, now, lately everyone's been hurt, so like Louisa was overseas, so they were playing 4 guards, but even still, even after all of the lineup tinkering, and now they're starting JJ Quinterly, who's like, I mean, she's the smallest player on the floor, no matter who else is on the floor. They're still like the number 1 rebound team by rebound percentage in the league. They're still the number 1 offensive rebound team, and they're still a top 5 defensive rebound team. And so they're getting after it out there, which is exactly what you want to see. But, they've done all of this tinkering, and at the start of the year, they were playing really big and they were losing. And we were like, they just need a little more space. They need a little more shooting. Well, now Lee is popping out to the 3-point line. Louisa lives at the 3-point line. There's so much more space. And we're seeing Enrique make cuts and Paige make cuts. We're seeing JJ make cuts. We're seeing Isaiah James make cuts. And all these guards are able to have driving lanes to get to the rim too and finish. And that's been a really big boost for the offense. But, I thought like the most impressive and the most kind of unexpected development lately for them, and especially in that Storm game, Haley Jones is out there just kicking everyone's butt. Like, she was scoring, but also 6 assists. She's picking apart the defense. She's finding cutters. And this is a player that was signed as a hardship deal and then cut and then signed again. And I think she might have even been cut again and signed again. Like, she's been in and out, in and out, in and out. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, maybe you build the whole team around Haley Jones. And I kind of made that joke with Dorothy, but obviously it's not true. But like, I don't know. This year in the WNBA, Erica, there's been a lot of players that have signed hardship deals or kind of these like emergency contracts that have proven themselves to be like integral contributors right away. And Haley Jones is the latest example of that.
Well, and I think too, Haley Jones's credit here, like Atlanta had so much change in the offseason. So seeing her departure from Atlanta wasn't too terribly shocking for me. But then seeing her come to Phoenix and then get waived there and then go to Dallas and have multiple contracts with them, I was definitely looking to see if she was going to get a permanent contract with the Wings. And the fact that that happened definitely makes me optimistic for what's to come for the Wings future. I think Haley is a very versatile player, and you have to be the right type of coach to figure out how to use her. And I mean, when she's got 5 stocks, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds plus 10 points, like that's the best stat line you can ask for from a bench player who, mind you, played just as many minutes as Enrique in this game. So I mean, CK obviously felt at some point that she was, very valuable. I know I'm going to get in trouble one of these days for saying CK, but I do not care. Someone bullied me. So,
It is easy
you're
in
going to have
conversation just saying Chris Koklanis while you're trying to deliver a point. It can be tough. It can be tough. So I hear you.
someone's gonna have to genuinely beat that word out of me. So CK, I think he's just the perfect guy, honestly, to use Haley. She is as versatile as she's exactly the type of player that they needed to insert into the system to make Enrique and Paige work together. They really needed a connector, and I feel like Haley has been perfect for that role. And so what we've seen from that duo has improved greatly because of the other pieces surrounding them. And I know that Paige talked a lot about spacing in the post-game interview after the Storm game. And when you're able to operate in any space, your job gets a lot easier. When they're double teaming Paige to start the game, they have to look for other options. And so to know that they were successful in finding those options and that the big two, for lack of a better term in this situation, had some assistance that they could depend on throughout the entirety of the game is a good sign for the Wings fans.
Absolutely. And you said that Haley is kind of like sort of like this connecting piece, kind of the glue of the whole thing. Luis is the same way. We got a super chat from Classic Stang Lover. A whole lot of super chats from Classic Stang Lover. First off, shout out to Classic Stang Lover. I'm a new fan of the pod. I like their honesty and willing to talk to anyone. Heck yeah. I'm assuming that means probably stud buds or maybe this one too, but who knows? And stand up for everyone. And then you don't have to agree with people to talk to them and respect them. Absolutely. That's a base take. Respect. But here's the glue one. Luisa is becoming the glue of the team. Luisa Gasol-Soto is becoming the glue of the team and my new favorite player. Speaking of merch, like you were talking about, Erica, the custom jerseys suck for my money. The jersey numbers suck. And then also, side note, who gets the super chat money? The super chat money helps keep the lights on. So thank you very much for that. But back to Luisa kind of being the glue. Haley's kind of playing like that backup power forward role, but also is versatile enough to play alongside Luisa. And like, you just get all of this space out there. Just all of this space whenever you get forwards that can play on the perimeter. And that's super important because instead of Paige or Enrique, dragging the defense out to where they are and then trying to break them down and you're running into other players, now they can give it up to Haley or give it up to Luisa or give it up to Lee and then kind of reposition themselves, catch it on the move, create an advantage against their defender without the ball, without having to break them down, and catch it in an advantageous position where they can do something with it. Like, having those kind of players, it seems like just makes everything easier for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And with Dejanay having been out, I'm optimistic to kind of plug her back into the system and see it work more productively. I think Dijonay, I kind of, called her out maybe a month and a half ago, probably at this point. I feels like it was ages ago, but her defense wasn't where it needed to be. And, the Wings defense as a whole has improved greatly in her absence. So I hope that plugging her back in is eventually going to look really, really good for the Wings, and that here in like 2 weeks, Bobby and I are talking about how they're making a playoff push, and the only team in their way is the Los Angeles Sparks. That sounds like a really good pod for me and Bobby to argue on.
I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to that. It's interesting you bring up Dijonay, though. I don't remember if I asked Dorothy this. I don't think I did, but trade deadline's coming up in 2 weeks. And, Dijonay is a veteran. She's been on a lot of really good teams, obviously played in some very high leverage games, all those years with Connecticut. Do you think, considering basically everyone is on an expiring deal, it's like very little risk if you're trying to win the title. Like, do
Yeah.
you think Dijonay, what's your prediction there? Do you think that she's a wing after the deadline, or do you think that there could be something going on?
I'm gonna say that she's a wing after the deadline. I think obviously there are some personal things that took place over the last couple three weeks for her. Melissa being traded, I can imagine, struck a chord for her, and for good reason. But at the same time, I think when you are with a franchise like the Connecticut Sun, and this is shady. Is as shady as what I'm about to say sounds. It's exactly that shady. But when you play for a franchise like that, you do understand that this is a business. And so I don't think it was anything that she was necessarily like, I'm sure she was hurt in a lot of ways, but I don't think she was necessarily surprised or shocked that it happened. And so I hope she's still a wing. I think she fits in really well with the people on the team, and I think her vibe is so fun. And she brings, to your point, a veteran leadership that it's hard to come by for them right now. And so, like I'm trying to think, other than like Maisha, who can be a veteran leader on the team. So I hope Dejanay stays, but I also wouldn't be too terribly shocked if she was traded. To your point, it's extremely low risk at this point in the season, and she could definitely be crap. I wouldn't even be super surprised if she went somewhere like Vegas, because they are a team that can make a decent playoff push, and they just need some assistance so bad at literally every position. If anyone knows any free agents that are available, maybe just let Vegas know, because they obviously don't have any idea what they need right now.
No, 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 no,
Bobby
no,
says
no.
no.
Let it get bad so that Asia can come team up with guards that know how to get her the ball. How about that?
Yeah, okay, so Asia's a wing by 2026. I like that idea.
Book it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm
Man,
talking
clip
about.
that, Elijah.
I don't know what I'm talking.
Elijah, I think that's your
It
clip
would
for
be an
today.
epic clip if it happens. All right, but when somehow she becomes a Liberty too, all right, I don't need this
No, that's
clip seeing the light of
disgusting.
day.
If I ever see her in Seafoam, that's the day that chickens are flying in the clouds and pigs are swimming in the oceans. Like I won't be watching the WNBA at that
sounds
point. So Asia, please
sounds
no
kind of funny.
Seafoam anytime in your future.
Please stay far away from there. Stay close to here.
Yeah. But more on the Storm and the Wings victory over the Storm after this quick break here on the DLS Wings podcast.
You ever wear sunglasses? Well, you should, because it's really bright outside. It's sunny. Dude, it's summer in Texas. It's like 150 degrees. We got lights in my face, sun glaring off the building over there. I'm a big walker, okay, so I walk home and I'm blinded all the time. And I'm also a clumsy fella, so not only do I need sunglasses, but I'm very likely to lose them. And you know what it's like to lose a pair of glasses, especially a nice pair that you're shelling out some good cash on. You lose them, you forget them, they fall out of your pocket, you crush them, something bad happens to them, and you know that sinking feeling in your chest, that feeling of regret, shame, embarrassment, and most importantly, sadness. But with Shady Rays, you don't got to worry about any of that stuff. These sunglasses are made for real life. Here's the wild part. If you lose them or if you break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So I can wear my sunglasses anywhere. Hopefully I don't lose my sunglasses anywhere, but if I do, I know Shady Rays has my back and they'll have yours too. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS35, Elijah. DLLS35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The Shades rated 5 stars. by over 300,000 people. Also, let me tell you about our friends at Branded Bills. No pair of sunglasses is complete without a hat, folks, and Branded Bills has the best headwear in the game, whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies. Heck, even if you need a new t-shirt, Branded Bills has you covered with both performance and style. If you're a college sports fan, Erica, they have partnership with more than 40 colleges, including locally TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas. They might even have some Zona for you, or Arizona State if you feel like making a lot of people mad. And if they don't have something that you want, or if you want to promote your own small business, well, you can start your order and their dedicated design team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. Slap that logo on a hat and become a walking billboard. Head to brandedbills.com and use code BBDLLS. Again, brandedbills.com. Use code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order today.
Did you know that Brandon Bills is I'm they're based in Tempe, Arizona, and
Oh, yeah?
yeah, so I they do really good work for the U of A. Actually, I don't know what your campus collection looks like there at TCU with the Horned Frogs, but our campus collection is very cool.
With them being in Tempe, isn't that Arizona State territory, or does it all kind of blend together?
It's disgusting, and their campus collection for ASU is also super cool. I'm
Ooh.
so glad there aren't any Sun Devil fans in here to hear that, potentially clip that, and then throw that in my diehard Discord lounge. That would absolutely disgust me. But no, I mean they do good work for the Arizona schools, so I can't be mad at them.
Class Single Lover asks, where is KG? KG's on vacation. He's on the beach. KG said 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Got the heck out of here. But he will be back next week. I won't be here next week because I'm going to be at a different beach, not in Cancun. I'm going to be domestic, hanging out with some friends. So, yeah, just plan accordingly.
This is terrible for me, man. My tag team trio is broken up. My family.
I know, but we'll be back. KG will be back next week though, and then after that, I'm here for the rest of my life. I'm not going anywhere.
First Nalissa and now this, man. I just keep my families keep breaking up. It's
I
really
know.
hurtful.
I know, and if the Wings win too many games, they might not be able to draft. They might not be able to fud around and find out.
Listen, you're getting really excited about the fighting around and finding out, and that makes me optimistic for you. But I just know it ends in a heartbreak. So I
Jeez,
hope you start accepting that now.
Erica
I
said that
just
we're
know
about
it's
to
going to end
find
in a
out.
heartbreak for you. It's unfortunate. I hate it for you, but I feel it's gonna happen. She's gonna end up in like it's gonna be disgusting because New York is gonna do some ridiculous, egregious nonsense, and she's gonna be wearing seafoam. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever
Don't
heard?
speak that
Yeah,
into
no.
existence. Don't speak that into existence. You got to
I'm
look a
not
little
manifesting.
down the
I'm
road.
manifesting against it.
The big competition for her services will be in Connecticut because that team is lousy and is going to have a good pick too, I think.
Hey, the Boston Sun is gonna be a really fun team to watch next year.
Mm.
Well, I wanted to get to this quick segment with Dorothy Gentry real quick because I know how excited I'm kind of pressed, honestly, that Dorothy isn't here gathered with us on this fine Thursday afternoon. But I do understand,
I
she's a
think
busy
she'll be here
lady. I'm
next
gonna
week
have
though,
to
right?
request her presence a lot sooner. Thank God! Oh my gosh, So but I want to get to this because I know Dorothy's got some great nuggets for us, and I know Bobby did a good job setting her up for success, better than maybe the mayor does. Because sometimes I set her up for failure, and she gets a little mad at me. It's a good play.
And joining us now is Dallas Wings insider Dorothy J. Gentry. Dorothy, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. Yeah, I'm doing good. Much
Did you?
better. Ready for second half of the season. So
Yeah,
glad
hopefully
to be
you.
here. Hi, everybody.
Hopefully you enjoyed a well-deserved All-Star break. It's nice to just
Yeah.
kick your feet up and relax for a little bit, enjoy a long weekend, and get back to the
Yes,
grind.
for sure.
Which the Wings did. Now, coming off a big win at Seattle, basically the
Yes.
first quarter of that game was awful and terrible, and then the rest of it was just beautiful. And so, now I'm looking at their schedule. They got a game at Golden State, and then it's
Yes,
6 of their
Friday.
next 7 at home. And they might be 7-17 right now. They were 6-17 coming out of the break. And
Right.
you're thinking, man, this team isn't going anywhere. But if they can stack a couple wins together, like there's not that big of a gap between themselves right now and that final playoff spot. So where are your expectations and hopes at for this team as the second half gets underway?
Did you say the word playoffs?
I did. Was it too early? Is it too early?
Did I hear you say playoffs? There's 20 games left. They're 10 games under 500. So they're 20 games left in the season. They're 7-17. I mean, I was thinking they would have to win out. They would have to win out the next 20 games in order to even sniff, I would think, that last playoff spot. That'd be 27-17. Here's the thing, though. I mean, they're like 2 wins shy of their 2024 total. So that's some growth right there. But playoffs, I'm not too sure. But hey, you never know.
They're 5 games back of Indy, Dorothy. So anything is possible.
That's
okay,
true.
anything is possible.
I'm sorry, Wings fans. That is so true. I'm just so true. I don't know. Okay, 20 games left on the schedule. I still think they would need to win out, or at least win a significant chunk of those 20. They came out, as you said, last night against Seattle. Seattle was missing Skylar, but still, they came out. They seemed focused. They seemed ready to go, basically. And they were only trailing by 2 or 3 points at halftime, and then their defense came out the second half. And, I think they held Seattle to like 20-something points in the second half, not the third quarter, but both the third and fourth quarter together. So, they had a 14-2 run coming out of the halftime, and they never gave it up. So we have those kind of wings, coming to play. Dejanay was back in the lineup again. Arike, we've talked about Arike a whole lot. She found her shot last night. I'm so happy for her because she's taken so much heat. Didn't even make All-Star this year for the first time. She scored like 20 points last night, so she found her shot for a minute. Paige, of course, continued to do her thing. She had like 6 or 7 assists, 14 points. So if they can come out like they did last night and string together a few wins, then maybe we can, talk a little bit about playoffs. But right now, they're still 10 games under 500.
Yeah, I think most importantly, it may be even more important at this point than winning games is finding the things that you can hang on to and take with your team and with your direction and culture and everything heading into next season. Now, that's going to be tough because so many of these players, not only on the Wings but around the league, are free agents. But still, you're learning a lot about your rookies because you're just playing 4 or 5 rookies like 30 minutes a game right now. But I want to ask you about some of them. So we've talked a lot about Lee and Louisa, and they both had good games against Seattle, and they're just good players in general. I think we agree. But can we just take a minute? JJ Quinterly is just such a baller, Dorothy.
Oh my gosh,
she is awesome, and Isaiah James too has had some really nice performances as well. But JJ Quinterly, what a 3rd, 4th round pick, all of a sudden is coming in here and is just playing some really, really good basketball.
She really is. She really is, and you can see the trust factor, not just with the coaching staff, but with her teammates as well. A lot of those assists, of Paige's, of Arike and some of the other players, they're giving her the ball. They're making sure JJ gets the ball. So she kind of came. Isaiah, she was, the rookie after Paige that was kind of making her, her name and making her way on the Wings roster. And then JJ just kind of came in and kind of took her spot almost. Like I said, to where that trust factor, the ball in her hands, they feel good about it. She's quick, she's fast. The pace definitely suits her for sure that the Wings are running. So JJ has definitely been a surprise to the Wings roster. And I think when they are in a game, which has been most of the games they've been in, it's been because of her and her play. So definitely kudos to JJ Quinterly.
She's electric. She's electric in the open court, Dorothy, but also, like you were saying, she's just making all these cuts, and Paige is finding her. But another player that was finding her and that had 6 assists in this game Haley Jones.
Hey,
So
yeah.
starts out on a hardship contract, then gets
Right.
cut, then gets re-signed, and is now all of a sudden like, let's build the team around Haley Jones. Like, what can you tell us about her impact on the team, and what
It's
their impressions of her?
I think that that's just awesome, for her to get another opportunity like this. And sometimes that's all that's needed is an opportunity to show what you can do. And she got it with the Wings. She came back and she has definitely made up for any lost time over that 24 hours that she was waived and then signed back, 24 to 48 hours. Again, she has an IQ. I think that the Wings definitely needed. I wouldn't call her necessarily a veteran because she's not, but she definitely has an IQ that has helped the Wings. Again, she has physicality. She's pretty. She's pretty big. And I think that she just works well with Paige. She works well with that whole starting lineup, either coming off the bench or starting, which Haley has done. She can be counted on to come off the bench, to bring those points, to bring that energy. She hustle plays definitely are a hallmark of what Haley does. And just her IQ and just her ability to see what's happening on the court and go out there and make some plays happen. I think she was a very good pickup for the Wings. With We still have a couple of players out, as you know, Maddie, and of course Todd's out for the season. They're hoping to get Maddie Sechrist back. We haven't gotten much as far as how she's doing, but 20 games left. They hope to get her back, so we'll see. But yeah, Haley and JJ have definitely made all the difference, I think, in the Wings.
There was this switch made. So right before Dejanay exited with that injury, obviously she came back in that Storm game, but came off the bench, and she was coming off the bench for a couple games, before getting hurt. Do you think that's going to be the case for the rest of the season? Or do you think that's just something that, Chris Kalklenis is trying right now to kind of ease her back into the rhythm of things?
Not sure. I'm really not sure. She the game before, the day before she left, or the team left for All Star. She was one of the ones who kind of spoke, and she talked a little bit about how she came to the Wings, to kind of continue her career trajectory as a starter. She actually said that, and she doesn't know what the future is going to hold. But right now, if they need her to come off of the bench, that's what she can do. That rib injury held her out for a while, as you know. So, and I don't know if it was more than that or what, but it appears that, she didn't start last night. It was her first game back. Um, I don't know if that is something that the coaches are looking at or not. Like I said, she hadn't practiced. Whenever we went to practice, the week or so before All Star, she never was in practice. She was kind of over to the side. So we never got any really, we would ask the coach about her, and he said, it's just day by day. We're just, trusting the trainers. So we never really got a full explanation as to what was happening with Dejanay. And then as she has now come back last night, they're on the road for the next couple of games. So I don't know that we will get any real, and what her role will be with the Wings moving forward until they get back. So I don't know.
And of course, the trade deadline is a couple weeks away. Now they play 5 or 6 games between now and then, and so if they win a couple, then maybe, hey, let's try and improve this thing. If they lose a few in a row, then maybe it's, hey, we got some veterans that other teams might want. Just like they traded Alyssa as well. So anything is possible. But Dorothy, before we get you out of here, they are about to play the Golden State Valkyries, the expansion team. They're having a great season. They've already beaten them one time.
Right.
What is it going to take? First off, Kayla Thornton, all-star appearance this far in her career. That's just awesome. That's a Wings great. Yeah. But what is it going to take for the Wings to make it 2 in a row overall as they take on Kayla Thornton and the Valkyries?
Now, undrafted Kayla Thornton, who spent the first 10 years of her career with the Dallas Wings, by the way. What will it take for them to win on Friday night when they play Golden State at Golden State on the road? I think the same thing it took last night. Come out and hit first. Come out with a sense of purpose, a sense of focus. Cut out any mistakes. Make sure that the pace that you set is what your team is used to. get out there and make sure that, everybody knows their spots, everybody knows what they're to do, and just go out there and do it. Everybody get on the same page from jump. No pun intended on the page, but everybody be on the same page, from the jump. I think that sometimes, out there on the court, maybe, something isn't quite going right. This time they need to just focus like they did last night and just go for it.
You're such a young team. You have these stretches of bad, and it can just feel like the world is collapsing. The walls are caving in. But then you go on a 17-0 run in the third quarter against a playoff team on the road, and you're like, wait a minute. Like, we can do this. Like, you get that self-belief. You get that confidence. And just those good moments are so good.
It's a step in the right direction. I think for all of them, again, Arike found her shot. The defense, it was, it was pretty decent, and so it can continue to get better, most definitely. Because again, last night they held the Storm to, only, 20 something points in the whole second half. I think coming out focused and ready to go, they have a tough remaining schedule, I think that they need to overcome the injuries. First of all, they need to overcome the injuries. They need to improve their defensive consistency, because that's where it's a lot of left. The consistency on defense is just not quite there. Continue to develop their young talent. You got JJ and Zay and Paige. And in those close game situations, sometimes they've lost a lot of close games. The playoff picture, I know I've shot you down at the beginning. It's a little challenging, but the Wings, if they just take each game one at a time as an opportunity to improve and compete, I think that they'll be okay.
She is Dorothy J. Gentry. Give her a follow on Twitter and everywhere else that you can follow her. Dorothy, thank you for taking some time to hang out with us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for your time. Bye, everybody.
That's why she's the GOAT. Oh, no. Erica's muted. Elijah, Erica, someone. No, you're still muted. Oh, my God. What happened? This is a catastrophe.
You have to yell at Elijah about that. I am muted myself.
Don't blame me. That was you.
Oh.
All right. We'll handle that later, but nonetheless, I'm just a little jealous that you got alone time with Dorothy J. Gentry. I want some one-on-one, alone interview time with Dorothy J. Gentry. So I'm gonna need I need Elijah to arrange that.
I believe in studio next week, right?
Yep, she's back next week.
All right, just go ahead and ban KG from joining the show. It'll just be me and Dorothy, and that way, I get what I want in the end, So, but no,
Eric,
great information there.
One thing Dorothy said there is like, when the Wings have been in games, and then she stopped, is like, they have been in a lot of these games. It's true. So this year, they're 7-17 overall. 9 of their losses have come in clutch games. Clutch is the final 5 minutes of a game, score within 5 points. They're 2-9 in those games, which is very bad. They're 5-8 in all their other games, which is still bad, but it's not horrible. I mean, 5-8, it's like you're almost 500. But 2-9 in those clutch games, and clutch games are kind of coin flip games. Like, it could go either way. So it really is just one of those things. Like, they just got to kind of learn how to win together.
Yeah, for sure. And to our previous points of the entire pod, like, this is still a fairly new system for all of them to be playing in. So I think that, and I want to listen, Dorothy is the GOAT. So before I say this, just know that I still believe every sentiment of Dorothy being the greatest of all time. But I just don't think they need to win all 20 games. This is a league where, like, I think it's 70% of the teams make the playoffs. And you do not need to be 500 to make the playoffs. It's been proven historically over and over and over again. And so I think they need to win like another 12 games is my thought.
Okay.
I think them along with the Sparks are going to be the biggest pushers of that bottom 4 tier of teams there. The Sparks have really, I think, been in the same like breath where they've been in close games and lost in coin flip games where they probably could have pulled out the victory had the sun just come up a second earlier in the day. But the Wings are in a position where they have a roster that has been coming and going out of the lineup. And so, with more consistency in their system and more consistency in their lineups, I do see a world where they can be even that 7 seed team and not have to play the 1 seed Minnesota Lynx, which might actually be a good thing for the Wings because they've had so much experience with them and they've been in close games and have, looked really good versus the Lynx a few different times this season.
Yeah, right now they're 4.5 back of 8th. They still got to leapfrog 3 other teams to get there, but you string some wins together. But like right now is when you're looking at the standings and saying all 3 of those games that they did not win against Chicago are really biting them right now. They're really coming back to bite you because now, granted, like it's not like, okay, you can wave a magic wand and win every single game, but like all 3 of those losses against Chicago were winnable. They had the lead, I believe, or at least were tied in the final like minute of all of them, basically. And so to lose all 3, or was it only 2? I don't remember. Elijah, correct me on that. Was it 2 or was it all 3? Losing to the Sky, bringing back bad memories. I watched them lose to the Sky while I was in Vegas. It was terrible.
3
It was the worst
times.
day of my life. 0-3. 0-3 against the Sky. What are we doing? What are we doing? If you could win
Yeah,
some
man,
of those
that is
games,
tough.
all of a sudden you're not 4.5 back, you're 2 back, and you're taking care of business against lousy teams, and this is a playoff push. But now you're thinking, man, should they just tank for a pick because they couldn't handle, games against a bad team? So it's kind of a bummer. But you can't look back. You can only look forward, Erica.
And as we do look forward, Bobby, I do want to ask you, we haven't done predictions in like 3 weeks, and that means I spent 3 weeks being correct in silence. So
Yeah.
all of you guys can add that tally to the list. But the Wings have 4 games before the next time. Well, actually, Bobby won't even be here, so he can just count his blessings, put his ducks in a row now. It doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. We're gonna say he's right next week on the pod, and then when he comes back, we'll give him crap for being wrong. But what do you see for the Wings over these next 4 games? What's your prediction for their plan? The Valkyries first, and then they have to take Vegas in Dallas, New York in Dallas, and then Atlanta in Dallas. All before we talk again.
I think, optimistically, I think they could take 3 out of the next 4. It's going to be tough. I mean, Las Vegas and Atlanta are both they're both better teams than the Wings, and they have really high level bigs, and really high level bigs have given the Wings problems. But with those 2 games both being at home, like if you can beat Golden State and then you beat Vegas, beat Atlanta, like that would be huge. The Liberty game is the second night of a back to back, should be illegal. I don't think that should be allowed personally, having to play them on the second night. And then after that, you play Indiana again at American Airlines Center, so the gym is going to be packed, and Caitlin, I believe, is going to be out. So that's an opportunity for them to win. And had they not gone down 65-0 against the Fever that night, they made this huge comeback and took the lead. Like, if they just get off to not the worst start of all time, then they could win that game too. So, I'm looking at the schedule. They could win 4 of their next 5, and then that gives you a chance. But that's the most optimistic. I'm not sure I'm willing to go that far, but how do you feel about it?
Well, I did just take a quick look back at the Wings' first matchup versus the Aces back in June, and Lee wasn't on the team yet, Lee Rue, and I feel like that's an important piece to what you were talking about. They have some really good bigs. Well, I'm not even going to say some really good bigs because they have Asia Wilson. Everyone else around her it doesn't matter when you have Asia Wilson. So I think Lee does change things for them. But I am looking for them. If they go 2-2 in the next 4, I'm satisfied. If they can beat I need them to beat the Valkyries. I think that's the easiest of the 4 for obvious reasons, but it's still very difficult. The Valkyries have been a really good defensive team, and they've made things really, really difficult for their opponents. Plus, they are playing in Golden State, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and so Valhalla is right now the toughest venue to play at in the WNBA, and that includes the Indiana. So, Golden State has done something very, very special in their first year of existing in the league. But I think they could definitely go 2-2. Optimistically, I'm looking at 3-1 with the third victory coming over the Dream. I think the Liberty Liberty Bibberty, man. That's a mountaintop, that team right now. So, and they did slip in the standings a little bit right before All-Star break, and they thankfully bumped themselves back up to second right before the All-Star break. But I do think that slipping to third for that little bit of time probably grinded their gears more than they might admit. So I think we're gonna see a really good Liberty team. The Mercury faces them tomorrow. I'm not really excited for that game. I'm not excited for the Wings to have to play them. Liberty should just, I don't know, play in the NBA or something. Like, go be a super team somewhere else.
Yeah, just go away. Leave us alone. Just leave us
I
alone.
can't take it.
Yeah, and it's pretty annoying too, because like obviously they got off to a great start and then they kind of tripped up there. But like veteran team, they've been to the finals a million years in a row. They know how to win and all that stuff. So like this is the time of year where you start to turn it on a little bit. And so it's great. I think it's great personally. I think it's hilarious, and I'm laughing that the Wings get to play them 3 times in the next 2 weeks. I think that is awesome and actually good.
Bobby, I love when you lie. It's like, here's $5 and here's a Bobby lie.
No, it's great. Think of how much they're going to learn.
And then for them to all break up in the off season and everything that they learned won't apply anymore. It'll be really, really fun and awesome.
It's gonna be, it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. Who am I kidding?
Man, the pod's just gonna be so good though in the off season. There's gonna be so much to talk about, and like I love it. I'm excited.
It is gonna
Although
be, and
the Wings might not ever. What? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's the fun part about, like, we had high expectations coming into the season, but like it's kind of the baseline understanding is like, look, it's a young team trying to integrate a great. Paige is already a very, very, very good player, but like potentially a great player as a rookie. New thing, the whole thing, a bunch of free agents coming up. Like, it's all weird. It's just going to be a weird season, but like the future's so bright that it's like, I don't know. I think it's going to be fun watching college all year, thinking like, who are they going to draft? Like, like it's the off season is going to be just as fun as the season, if not more.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And then on top of it, we haven't even mentioned, while every other team in the league, the Phoenix Mercury, I'm looking at you with all these veteran contracts that they're going to have to fulfill after these CBA negotiations. The Wings look real good right now. They just signed 3 rookies that are probably going to stay on their team for a long time in Isaiah James, obviously Paige Beckers, but then also kind of in an unexpected twist of events, JJ Quinterly. So I think, there's a lot to be optimistic about if you're a Wings fan, to be honest with you. Their books are going to look a lot better than a lot of these other teams next season. They're going to have a little bit more money to pay the big dogs and maybe fight their way into some free agency talks they wouldn't have otherwise had chances to be even in the conversation with.
Hope so. Let's do it. The only way to go up is to go up. And things are looking up.
This is
future
is actually perfect.
It's bright.
I was just gonna say, this is how you get Asia Wilson to Dallas, is you have all these rookie contracts, and then you just have a gazillion dollars available to pay Asia, and then you just fill the rest of it with, like, I don't know, overseas players and call it a day. I mean, you put Paige and Asia on the team together, what could possibly go wrong?
Nothing. You want a roster spot? You could fill out the 12th spot. Doesn't matter. Let's get you in there.
Right. Me and Dorothy both. Imagine that.
Yes.
The mayor and Dorothy J. Gentry on the freaking team. Sounds like that is peak cinema.
Yes. And the Wings would still go undefeated, with no disrespect. I know you competed in a shootout one time, but like the Wings would still be really good.
Like, I need you to forget that conversation was ever had on this show.
I can do that.
There was no shoot around. I've actually never even held a basketball in my life.
Oh wow. So you just talk. You've never played. You don't even know how to play basketball. Wow. So you're just another basement dweller, just like the rest of us.
Keyboard warrior, terrible. Man. Who let me be the mayor? Blame GM Ben for this.
The voters. We did it.
You and KG, man. You set yourself up for success. It's okay. Well, Bobby, is there anything else I've forgotten to get to today?
Don't think so. We'll be back next week. KG and Dorothy here. Erica will be here. It's gonna be a great show, so make sure that you tune in. Elijah will be here as well, obviously.
Hey, Keith, now we have big problems. Thank God. But yeah, it'll be on a day next week, Thursday or Friday. Your guess is as good as ours, but we'll let you guys know in due time. Don't you worry about that. But you won't have to go on another big hiatus without the DLLS Wings podcast. We will be back on your screen next week without a doubt in my brain. So please tap in with us. If you haven't already become a subscriber, I'm sure they have the same diehard deal that PHNX has right now, right?
36
Prescription?
buckaroos. Do it.
Yeah, you got to become a diehard. You get a cool diehard Discord access. You can get a free T-shirt of your choosing. This one that I have on, the same one that Bobby has on.
What are the odds?
I'm sure. Yeah, Ben probably has a pretty cool DLS T-shirt on right now. You can pick any of them on the website, and you can get that shipped to your free from home. Free to your home. Oh my goodness! But yeah, this training camp offer, it's a stellar deal. $36 a year. That's less than a cup of coffee a month, dude. Like, be there or be square. So yeah, you get a discount on events, cool membership card. I could go on and on and on, but basically it's the best thing you could ever use your $36 for. So be sure to hit the first link in the bio. I'd imagine that's exactly how you guys do it too. First link in the description, become a diehard, and you can join us in the Diehard Discord Lounge literally as soon as today. So but without further ado, we will see you guys next week on the DLS Wings podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.